So it's here, the 100th episode of my podcast. I cannot believe I have done this. I know I said this in a few podcasts ago, but this is the episode. This is it. So thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about how to get your first 10 clients on LinkedIn. And I'm going to break down and walk through the whole process. So you're probably going to want to download this podcast. And just a tip, by the way, if you download the podcast, you can probably get it into ChatGPT and it will give you a series of instructions. Or you go over to my website and I've got the transcript of this here. And it's in my newsletter, which you can sign up to on deanseddon.io. So obviously, the thousands of people who listen to my podcast, there will be people from different industries and different sectors. So the caveat is you're going to have to customize this to your own business. But the vast majority of my audience are small business owners, solopreneurs. So I'm gonna put the angle towards those groups of people. But this is how the simplest way you can get your first 10 clients on LinkedIn. Now, one of the things that I've noticed just before we dig into this, and I give you the kind of literal action steps, one of the things that most people get stuck on is they overcomplicate it. So I'm going to give you something really simple to do, but they'll, I'll make a website. Oh, I'll build all of this nonsense. I'll try and go viral. It's all rubbish. It's all rubbish. If you're selling a high ticket service and your price point's £2,000, say, it's really easy to get 10 clients in 2 months. It's very easy. 10 clients in 2 months if you follow this step by step. Some of you, when I tell you what to do, you will chicken out. Some of you are going to chicken out. And some of you are going to absolutely embrace this. And I'm going to get the messages from you saying it's rocking and rolling. And I should really do this as a course. Maybe I will. I'll do this as a course. I'm going to make a little course and I'm going to sell it. That's how good this podcast is. So don't be telling people I've done this as a podcast and I'm going to sell it, because I think this is going to be superstar. So simple, so easy. Anybody can do this. Just please promise me you do not overcomplicate it. So you ready? Buckle up. We're going to do this. So step number 1. What I want you to do is I want you to identify one key group or target audience. So just one. So hypothetically, let's deal with it being, I don't know, newly qualified lawyers, right? So define them, newly qualified lawyers. Why do we define people in that way? Why should we go down so tight as newly qualified lawyers? Because everything that we do can resonate with them better. So instead of kind of playing a kind of let's try and catch everybody and hope it converts something, we're actually going to go after newly qualified lawyers, because then our posts, our content, all our activity becomes lined up. So I'm going to do newly qualified lawyers. Now, of course, your expertise has to be lined up. You can't just invent a target audience. It has to be linked to, who you can sell to, who needs what you do, what your expertise is. All of that stuff has to line up. But that's my audience, right? I'm going to target newly qualified lawyers. So I've written down, and you will want to write down, maybe there's a few different target markets you want to go for. Which is the easiest to find? Big tip here. Which is the easiest group to find online? Number 1. Number 2, which ones do you have the most expertise with? Track record. Number 3, which ones have the biggest problems? Number 4, which ones have the biggest pockets? So work out those things and then you can put together a plan. But the first thing you've got to do is go, right, I'm going after one specific group, so that everything that I do all the way down here can now be totally relevant to those people. In other words, I'm playing a relevance game rather than a volume game. I want to be as focused as I possibly can, with the caveat that I can find them, right? So Don't come and say to me, I want managing directors with a moustache. I mean, God knows how you would find them on LinkedIn, right? But you can find newly qualified lawyers. That's a really easy thing to do. Sales Navigator, it's 10, 15 minutes of tinkering and you're good to go. Next thing, you want to find out what the problems are, what's keeping them up at night, right? But also what's keeping them up at night and they'll pay for it. So this is where surveys, polls, Google searches, look what competitors are doing, look what people are saying in forums, loads of legal forums, for an example. You want to go there. But also industry events, go and talk to people. Find the problem that you want to solve and find the most valuable problem you can solve. So what could be a major problem for newly qualified lawyers in my example? Well, they might get a bit nervous. They might have confidence issues in courtrooms. They might have some self-doubt. So I could give them a coaching program potentially on confidence and dealing with self-doubt. There's loads of things I could do on that, but you want to kind of dig in and find what's the problems that there's a big enough market for, but also you have some expertise and it's a big enough problem that people will pay for it. So you want to have a package. You want to package all that up into what's the problem, what's the outcome that you're going to deliver, problem, outcome, process, how long does it take and what are you going to do to fix it, and the price. That's your package. The problem, the outcome, the process, the price. Put that together. You can do it as a one-pager and a doc or a PDF, or you can do it as a landing page. Put it together as simple and as clearly as you can. Don't over-design. If you're no good at design, don't try. Just make it simple, right? You want that one-pager. Now, this is where you have to commit because you're going to package that offer into the landing page, into the doc. That's step 3, package it all up. Design does matter, but cleanness is more important. So if your only design experience is Microsoft Publisher or Paint, don't try and be a designer. Just make it clean, clear, and don't do too much to it. You don't want the design to become a distraction. So step 3, you're going to package that up. So just to recap on where we are. Step 1, define your ideal client. Step 2, research the problems to find the problem that is common, but people will pay for. Package it all up into a one-pager or a PDF. Remember, problem, outcome, process, price. Now you're going to go into action mode. You're going to go and start connecting with those people on LinkedIn. And again, Sales Navigator is good for this. So you could do this with Sales Navigator. Absolutely perfect. And you want to be connecting. You can connect to 20 people a day if you've got Sales Navigator, 20 people every day. And if you do that consistently every day, in a few months, you've got hundreds of potential prospects, hundreds. So if you only need 10 new clients, this is getting really straightforward. Then we're going to interact with them. So we're not just going to pitch them. We're going to try and build some relationship, interact with their profile, interact with their content, try and build relationships because people buy from people they know, they like, they trust. So for a couple of weeks, we're going to engage with these people. Quick tips. You're going to want to diarize some time. You're going to want to write their names down so that you don't forget who they are. All of that stuff. And you're going to consistently do that. Right? Dead simple. Obviously, you're going to post. And you're going to post things that matter just to your newly qualified lawyers. Stories, examples, case studies, anything like that. But also just general interest stuff that those newly qualified lawyers would pay attention to. Don't go too far with promoting. Don't go over the top promoting yourself. Keep the promotion down to just one post a week. Helps you keeps you top of mind, builds some familiarity, builds some trust, all of that stuff. Now we're going to go into step 7, which is we're going to actually send your offer, your packaged offer to people. So I want you to send 20 a day, starting with the first people you connected with, a short little note, something along the lines of, "Hi, Dean, I've been working with newly qualified lawyers to help them gain confidence in courtrooms. If this is something you or someone you know might benefit from, I'd love to share my approach. Here's a link for more information," and your link to your one-pager or your landing page. It can be that simple, all right? Don't do this cold. Try and engage with them for a couple of weeks beforehand, right? So whilst you're doing all your research, whilst you're doing all of your building your landing page and writing your one-pager, you could be connecting with these people. Step 7, send the outreach. If you want to, you can do a follow-up after that and saying, "Just checking you got this okay. If you know anybody it's relevant to, or if it's relevant to yourself, please feel free to book a confidential chat with me." Dead simple. Getting your first 10 clients is predominantly about clarity. Yeah, as you get bigger and bigger and bigger and your business starts to grow, obviously you are going to appeal to more markets and more target audiences. But to get going, to get that consistent revenue, you just want to nail one first, and you want to play a highly relevant approach. Don't go for numbers in the sense of, "I want to appeal to everybody so I get something." Appeal to just newly qualified lawyers. You'll do really well doing that. It's a more sustainable way to do it. And it's simple. It's not too pushy. But let's be real about this. You are going to have to ask people. You are going to have to message people. If you are waiting for customers to just roll up at your door and say, "Take my money," you're living on a different planet. You need to go outbound. Now, that doesn't mean you annoy people and hammer people, but you have to go outbound. You have to. So 7 simple steps there. Those simple steps will get you your first 10 clients. So let's just go through them once more. So define your ideal client. Research the problems that they face. Package that up into an offer. Connect with your ideal clients on LinkedIn. Engage and interact with them. Build some rapport. Share content that's relevant to them. And then after a couple of weeks, start sending a low-key outreach message with your one-pager or your landing page. That's as simple as it has to be. It doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. But just because this is my 100th podcast, I just want to throw in a few more things to think about. So that's the process. You don't need a website to do this. You need one page. You don't need to get other things right to do this. Very often, I've worked with thousands of people. I mean, this year, I must have spoke at, 30, 40 events so far this year. Probably had an audience across all of them of 5,000, 6,000, something like that. Maybe more, who knows? I see lots of people all the time, and I see the same questions coming up and the same comments and the same things come up all the time. And the big one that I get asked, or the big one that ends up being a conversation with people, is that these 10, how to get your first 10 clients. I've given you the kind of 7 steps of the process to do it. People will happily spend hours defining their ideal client. They'll happily spend hours researching. They'll happily package their offer. They'll happily connect most of the time. Engagement and interaction usually fails because people are not organized enough. So what happens is they like the idea of the plan. Yeah. So some of you will listen to this, hopefully a small minority. You'll like the idea of this plan, and you will never actually diarize the time to do it. And so the plan fails as soon as the exciting bits are done. So the exciting bit is defining the client and researching the problems and packaging up. That's exciting because that's like creativity. Connecting, people don't diarize the time for it, so they don't commit to it. And then, of course, you end up with a bottleneck of a lack of people to message. So connecting usually fails because people don't put the time in. Engaging and interacting with people that, again, don't diarize it. Content, totally different story. People will double down, triple down, quadruple down, whatever else double down on content. They'll do more and more and more of it. In fact, When it comes to outreaching, some people will, rather than outreach, will just make more content. Content becomes like an easy win. If you think about it, right, every time we post and we get a like and a comment, that reward mechanism triggers in our brains. And so we feel good about sharing content. It feels productive. We feel fantastic. And I've met many, many people, and I walk them through doing this 7-step process to get the first 10 clients. And if they get past and they actually connect, if they actually engage, what you'll find is they bottleneck and do more and more and more content, spend hours on the content because it can be a way to avoid messaging people. Now, you may think, because I do break down some bad cold outreach, you may think, Dean, why are you advocating for me to do cold outreach? Well, what I've advocated for you to do in these 7 steps is not cold. It's not warm. It's not red hot. But it's delusional to think that you can just post content and people will come knocking on your door. It's totally delusional. And the internet and some influencers perpetuate something that is totally untrue. I've got a client, valued client, and they'd come to me from a competitor's program where they've been told that if they post content, they'd attract all the clients they need. In 12 months of doing that, they got no clients. You have to go outbound. You have to talk to people. Now, how you talk to people and when you do it and all that stuff really does make a difference. So in that 7-step process I've talked about there, I've talked about engaging and interacting with people to build up some rapport, build up some trust, but also to hopefully get a fairer hearing when you actually send the outreach message. Now, our outreach message is going to be quite low key. It's quite chill. And the reason why we're doing that is because if we do the engagement and interaction with them without any sales agenda at that time, it's more likely they will give our message fair consideration. Now, if we just send that low key outreach without doing any engagement and interaction, we are just sending cold. So if you think about it, this process is there to say, right, let's try and do some of that stuff. Let's try and invest in these people a little bit. All of our profile is investing in those people, trying to help them and share things that are, will inform them and they'll provide interest. We're doing a lot of stuff to try and help our ideal clients. We're doing a lot of engagement and interaction to try and help our ideal clients so that that message will be better received. But we still got to send the message. So there's your 7-step process, how to get your first 10 clients on LinkedIn. Very straightforward, very simple process. You've got to do it. And I'll just say one more thing before I shut up and sign off on this podcast episode number 100, which I'm very pleased with myself about. I'll give myself a trophy, is some of you listening to me are used to referrals. You've had a lot of referrals in the past, maybe from when you worked with other people, you've got colleagues, people who've known you in the industry, and you come to, say, LinkedIn or Instagram and X, and suddenly you're met with, why is this so hard? Why is it so difficult? And at the same time, you'll be met with people posting content telling you how easy it is and how simple it is. It isn't easy, right? It's difficult. It's challenging. It's not 100% success rate. But when you go onto social media, just remember, no influencer, no guru is going to tell you about how unsuccessful they are. And so what happens is you look at their posts and go, oh, they got 5 new leads organically. They just came in because of content. First of all, you can look at that and go, oh, why didn't I get that? And you can kind of demoralize yourself by looking at their best side. So, most people on social media are posting their successes. Yeah, they're posting their successes. So you see a very one-sided perception. So don't beat yourself up about that, right? Most cold outreach, most outreach generally is 80, 90% unsuccessful. In other words, nothing happens because of it. And there was no responses. So, this is a game of playing margins. It's not a game of not 100% success or 97% or 70%. So don't get jaded. Don't beat yourself up. Just remember, everybody's sharing their best side online. Nobody's going to say about how they did an outreach campaign and only 4 people replied, right? They're going to tell you how they made $20,000 from outreach and neglect to mention that 90% or 99% of the messages didn't work, right? So don't beat yourself up about that. But if you've come from referrals, right, you might think, well, why is this so difficult? I just want to say, right, referrals are the best of the best, right? You can't get any better than that. So if you've had a business up to now, which has been heavily referrals, right, most people are absolutely jealous of you because that's the best. That really is the best. But it's a job and a half to keep that referral machine working. And most people will go through a cycle where at times that referral machine runs dry. And so if you've had the best of the best, and then you come to, what everybody else does, you are going to find it hard. In one sense, don't take offense at this, but in one sense, you've been spoilt by referrals. And it's the dream everybody would have, to be spoilt right by referrals. So just remember, as you go into this, you've got to have a thick skin and be bloody minded about it and say, I'm going for it. I'm going to follow this process step by step, consistently, not for 5 minutes, not after you've sent 20 messages and then give up. I'm going to run this for a month. And just adjust as you learn. As you learn, just adjust. Don't stop. Just tweak. That's all I do. I don't stop things. I tweak things. And so you go through that process. But just remember, the internet is full of everybody's successful. Everybody's driving Lamborghinis. Everybody's blowing up. It's like everybody's got an agenda. Your job is your agenda is just to get clients. So don't get distracted by buying gadgets or into more courses. I'm slightly throwing myself under the bus here a little bit, but I've seen people spending like thousands on courses. I spoke to somebody who'd spent £100,000 on courses and never implemented any of them fully. And that is a tragedy. And I would never want people to go down that route, because learning can become an excuse for not taking action. So you've got your 7 steps. I want to hear your reviews. I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your success stories. I want to hear all the things that are going to happen that's massive in your world from following this process of how to get your first 10 clients on LinkedIn. Go do it. Go make it happen. And I'm going to sell it into a course, because I know that this is good stuff. I've given it you for free in the podcast, but I know people will pay for it because a lot of people struggle with this and you got it for free. So happy 100th episode. Go do it and come and tell me all your successes. I want to hear about it. Love you all and see you soon.